Shanghai. In the quiet hours of September 2nd, the city that never truly sleeps fell into silence. News broke just before dawn. Actor Yu Melong, age 34, had been found dead inside his apartment. No signs of struggle, no drugs, no explanation. Just a lifeless body, and a room that felt, as one investigator later described, wrong. For days, Chinese social media erupted with disbelief. Fans mourned, news outlets speculated, and his studio issued a brief, sterile statement calling it a tragic accident. But what followed, the evidence, the testimonies, and the strange digital traces left behind, painted a far more disturbing picture. This wasn't an ordinary death. It was the end of a performance that may have gone too far. Yu Melong had just completed filming The Whispering Shadows, a horror movie based on an old Manchurian folktale about souls trapped between mirrors. The story followed a man who accidentally awakens a vengeful spirit that mimics the living. According to early reports, the film's production was plagued by accidents, a word that appears 17 times in the insurance claim filed by the studio. 3 lights exploded on set during the first week of shooting. A stunt coordinator was hospitalized after a freak fall. A sound engineer quit after claiming to hear voices in his headset that weren't part of the dialogue track. The production hired 2 priests, one Taoist, one Catholic, to bless the set. Both refused to return after the second ritual. Still, Yu pressed on. By all accounts, he was dedicated, even obsessive. Crew members described him as professional but increasingly distant as filming progressed. In an interview from July, he was asked how it felt to film a story about possession and fear. His answer, when you spend enough time pretending something's inside you, maybe it starts to believe it's real. 2 weeks later, he began complaining of insomnia. His assistant told police that Yu would wake up around 3 a.m. every night, staring at his reflection in the bathroom mirror. He said it didn't move when he did, she told investigators. He thought it was just stress. But then he started covering every mirror in the apartment. On the night before his death, neighbors reported hearing strange noises, faint thudding, glass shattering, and what one described as a voice that sounded like crying, but not from one person, like more than one voice overlapping. Security footage from the hallway shows Yu returning home at 10:47 p.m. carrying a small camera bag and looking visibly shaken. It was the last time he was seen alive. When his housekeeper entered the next morning, the apartment reeked of burnt plastic and something metallic, like blood and ozone, she said. The main room was a disaster. Chairs overturned, walls scratched, and mirrors smashed. On the table sat Yu's open laptop, its webcam light still on. Forensic analysts retrieved several corrupted video files from the device. One, timestamped 11:32 p.m., shows Yu speaking directly into the camera. He looks pale, trembling, eyes darting to the dark corner of the room. The audio is distorted, but a few words are clear. It's here again, it keeps watching, every reflection. The footage cuts off mid-sentence. A second clip, fragmented and nearly unwatchable, lasts only 6 seconds. Yu appears to be backing away from something off-screen. His breathing is ragged, his voice barely a whisper. It said my name. Then the image distorts into static, and a faint whisper overlays the track. Audio experts from the Shanghai Institute of Media Technology claim that when amplified, the whisper forms a single phrase repeated 3 times in Mandarin. Look behind you. Autopsy results only deepened the mystery. The body bore no external injuries, no evidence of drug use or poisoning. But his heart had stopped mid-adrenaline surge, as if he'd been frozen in a moment of extreme terror. His pupils were dilated, his fingers clenched so tightly that 2 fingernails had torn off. A forensic specialist described it simply, he died scared. The official cause of death, sudden cardiac arrest induced by acute psychological distress. Unofficially, those who saw the scene in person call it something else, unnatural. An anonymous investigator told China Daily that small handprints, too small to be used, were found on the bathroom mirror. The prints appeared smudged, as though pressed from inside of the glass. When police dusted them for residue, they found nothing. No oil, no sweat. Just faint traces of calcium carbonate, the mineral component of bone. In the weeks after his death, the film's post-production continued in secret. Then, one of the editors leaked fragments of corrupted footage online. The clip showed Yu performing the final scene of the film, but with something disturbingly off. The script had called for Yu's character to confront the ghost in an abandoned temple. Yet in the footage, the camera shakes violently as Yu turns, his expression raw and terrified, not acting, but pleading. He screams something that wasn't in the script. The words are muffled, but several viewers claim they hear him shout, "I said stop filming." The scene ends abruptly when the camera falls, showing Yu collapsing to the floor as the audio fills with whispering. The production company took the clip down within hours, but by then, millions had seen it. Many insisted they heard another voice whispering his name, slowly, deliberately, underneath his screams. When asked for comment, director Lee Cheng issued a brief statement: "No such footage exists in the official cut. What people saw was fabricated." 2 days later, he disappeared. Police visited his Beijing apartment on October 8th. The door was unlocked. The only thing left on his desk was a page torn from the film's script, with one line scrawled in ink: "We filmed something that wasn't in the story." In the months following Yu's death, the film industry grew eerily quiet about the project. Rumors circulated that the production company had hired exorcists to cleanse the editing room. Others claimed the servers storing the film's raw footage crashed 3 times in 1 week, each time at precisely 3:11 a.m. When The Whispering Shadows finally premiered 6 months later, audiences were unprepared for what they saw. Yu's performance was electric, primal. His fear looked real because it was real. In one infamous scene, his eyes seemed to flick toward the camera, as though he's seeing something behind it. Some viewers reported that during that moment, the theater lights dimmed or flickered. A few claimed the temperature dropped suddenly. A woman in Chengdu fainted during the final scene. A group of students in Guangzhou reportedly ran out of the cinema screaming after hearing breathing sounds behind them during a silent sequence. Theaters began receiving complaints that mirrors in their bathrooms were cracking or fogging on their own after screenings. Several cinemas removed them entirely. The studio brushed off the stories as marketing hype. But within weeks, 3 editors from the post-production team quit after receiving anonymous packages containing USB drives labeled "Play Me." Each drive contained the same file, 13 seconds of Yu's face, whispering words that no one could understand. The file would crash after playback, erasing itself completely. Experts have since tried to rationalize what happened. Sleep deprivation, method acting, psychological collapse, these are the theories most cling to. But certain details defy explanation. A journalist from the Global Times gained access to the building's security logs. Between 11 p.m. and midnight on the night of Yu's death, the system recorded 2 entries for his apartment door, one opening, one closing. But there was only one keycard issued, to Yu himself. The second entry was registered using an unidentified access signal labeled "guest." No one ever entered or left according to the hallway cameras. Even stranger, every mirrored surface in the apartment, 5 in total, showed fine fractures forming patterns. When photographed under ultraviolet light, those fractures aligned perfectly into a human silhouette. Today, Yu Melong's apartment remains sealed. No new tenant has moved in. Some say at night, lights flicker behind the curtains. Residents report hearing faint tapping sounds, like fingers brushing glass. As for The Whispering Shadows, it remains available on several streaming sites, though many versions have been mysteriously altered. The original ending has vanished from all official releases. Those who claim to have seen it say it showed Yu sitting in a dark room, looking directly into the lens. His breathing is slow, his lips trembling. Then, almost imperceptibly, his reflection in a nearby mirror smiles a few seconds before he does. Audio technicians analyzing that scene found an unexplained heartbeat under the soundtrack, slower than a human's, reverberating as if coming from deep inside the recording itself. One chilling coincidence stands out. The runtime of the film is exactly 1 hour, 34 minutes, and 11 seconds, the exact timestamp of Yu's death recorded by the coroner. It has been over a year since the tragedy, and still, no one has answers. Fans visit his memorial every month, leaving mirrors wrapped in black cloth, afraid to look at their reflections. Investigators quietly admit that the case is unresolved. The file remains open, marked active. For those who knew him, the pain is deeper than the mystery. Actress Li Wen, who co-starred with Yu, broke her silence in a private interview. "He wasn't himself near the end," she said. "Sometimes between takes, he'd just stare past everyone, whispering like he was listening to something. One night, he told me, 'It's not pretending anymore. It's real now.'" No one knows what he meant. But perhaps the most unsettling detail of all came months later, when Yu's personal camera was found in a storage box at the studio. The final recording on it, never released to the public, shows him sitting on his couch, breathing heavily, muttering a single phrase over and over in Mandarin. "Stop watching me." As the recording ends, the camera turns, shakily, toward the reflection of a figure standing behind him. There was no one else in the room. To this day, those who have seen that final footage refuse to discuss it. One police officer, now retired, told a reporter off record, "I've seen hundreds of bodies. But that apartment, it felt alive. Like the walls were listening." And maybe, in a way, they still are. Some urban legends claim that if you pause the whispering shadows at the 66-minute mark, you can see something move in the background, a pale face peering out from behind a cracked mirror. Others insist that playing the film backward reveals faint whispers repeating Yu's name. No one can prove it, and yet no one who's watched it alone seems eager to try again. What really happened to Yu Melong? Was it exhaustion, a breakdown, or something darker, something that followed him from the set into his home? The truth lies somewhere between imagination and fear, trapped in that liminal space where art ends and haunting begins. But one thing is certain. Every time someone presses play on the whispering shadows, the reflection inside the screen stays. And if you listen closely enough, through the static, through the flicker, sometimes, you can still hear him whisper, "I'm still Hey." Even now, months after Yu Melong's death, new fragments continue to surface, each one more disturbing than the last. A former technician who worked on the Whispering Shadows came forward anonymously last week, claiming he had been part of a cleanup operation ordered by the studio after Yu's passing. His job was to destroy all corrupted footage and backups. But when he began deleting files from the editing servers, the system refused to comply. The files would reappear seconds later, he said. Even when I wiped the drives clean, they came back with the same name, mirror.ym. He swore that the file opened itself once, playing without prompt. The screen filled with static, and through the distortion, he saw Yu's face staring out, pale and shaking. The audio, he claimed, was just breathing. "I unplugged everything, but it kept playing," he said. The monitor was off, but the image stayed there, burning into the glass. No one can confirm his story. The technician disappeared 2 days after the interview. Police reopened Yu Melong's case briefly this summer after a new lead surfaced. A maintenance worker found a sealed mirror in the studio's basement labeled, "Do Not Open." Inside the frame was a single fingerprint belonging to Yu. The mirror's interior surface was fogged, as if breathed upon from the inside. Forensic analysis couldn't explain how it was sealed airtight. The object has since been locked away in evidence storage. Some people believe Yu's death wasn't a haunting but a message, an unseen warning about the dangers of obsession and fear. Yet those who've seen his final scenes disagree. His eyes, they say, didn't show fear at all. They showed recognition. Could it be that Yu realized what had attached itself to him too late? Or worse, that he never stopped acting because the story wasn't over? The truth may never be known. But what lingers today is more than memory, it's presence. The Whispering Shadows continues to appear under new uploads online, each version slightly different from the last. In one recent leak, at exactly 47 minutes, Yu's face turns toward the camera, and his lips form new words not in the script, "Stop watching." Some say the message isn't a warning, it's an invitation. If you dare to uncover what really happened that night, if you want to know what the cameras didn't show and the studios tried to erase, then make sure you're following K-Drama Whispers. We uncovering the real stories behind Asia's darkest screen legends, the secrets, the hauntings, and the mysteries no one else will tell you. Hit subscribe before the next story drops, because sometimes truth isn't found in the light. It's hiding in the whispers.